I recently made this video for a maximum audience of 1, my son. And only a couple of years ago, this would have cost tens of thousands and taken weeks to make. I did it in 5 hours, and seeing his reaction felt better than 1 million views and made it totally worth it. I'm gonna show you the exact AI workflow I used to create a personalized message from Santa that was so convincing it created a moment of genuine magic in my home. This is putting AI video to good use. And I use Midjourney and Nano Banana Pro for character design, Kling 2.6 and HeyGen for video generation, and ElevenLabs to design Santa's voice that felt human and, most importantly, believable. And the platform that I used to create my initial images is Midjourney. And I started pretty basic. I mean, as you can clearly see here, Santa Claus. That's what I did. And these are the images that I got. And as you can clearly see, well, this is actually very good, but it's not something that I can use for character consistency. So I started adding a bit more detail to the prompting. And as you can clearly see here, medium shot of Santa Claus sitting on his chair in his home. This is not overly complicated prompting. This is very basic because Midjourney has a huge database to refer to when it comes to what Santa should look like. So you just need to refine the prompting bit by bit. And as you can clearly see here, a medium shot of Santa Claus sitting on a chair. So I kept on refining the prompting until I got to these ones. I leave the prompts that I use for this project in the video description so that you can recreate this yourself. But I got these images and I settled for this one. Now, as you can clearly see here, there is a problem. The hands have this kind of weird glove. It's not a perfect image. So what I did is I went to Higgsfield, the skin enhancer, okay? And here I took this image and I applied realistic skin. And as you can clearly see, this is the original. And this is the new version, and it has corrected the hands. I usually use a different platform for skin enhancing, which is called Upsampler. And I used it for this image, as you can clearly see here. And it kind of gives me a more human look, but it doesn't get rid of this weird glove. So as you can clearly see, what Higgsfield gave me here is very good. It gave me human hands. So this became my omni reference in Midjourney. I've got it there. And from then on was a matter of going to ChatGPT, to a window that I already have for prompting. And this is basically giving ChatGPT instructions that it will convert in the backend as a JSON prompt and then convert it again into natural language. And I'll leave a link for the Word document with all of these workflows so that you can copy and paste it and do it yourself. And if you want to create this and pretty much any other video using AI, I have an AI avatar course where I teach you this and pretty much anything that you need to create stunning AI videos. And this is an ever-growing course where I keep updating with new lessons as new platforms come up and new models are released. AI video and content creation is something that I think everybody should be familiar with because this is where the industry is heading to and you need to be on top of this. So if this is interesting to you, I'll leave a link in the video description below. Go and check it out. And from then on was a matter of just giving ChatGPT the instructions of the visuals that I wanted. I uploaded the image of my Santa so that it creates a prompt based on the character that I've chosen. This actually helps in getting a much better character consistency because ChatGPT is going to create a prompt describing this character that then is going to be reinforced by the fact that you can add the omni reference of that same character within Midjourney. And as you can clearly see, it gave me an extensive prompt that I literally just copied and pasted within Midjourney. And this is now when the editing starts taking place because as you can clearly see here, the images that I got were not what I wanted, and I played around with the language and the look and feel of different aspects. I started creating something that was a little bit too much of a fantasy, and I did not want that. And as you can clearly see, the images look very fake. That's not realistic in any way, shape or form. You're not gonna always get the image that you want at the first go. You have to kind of refine the prompting, and it's a bit of a process where you take a few words, you add a few other ones, until eventually you get some images that begin to look the way you like it. And one that I really like was this one. And as you can clearly see, I had a lot of images that some of them look really good, some of them didn't look so great. I mean, that's actually a very nice image. You know, that one is very nice, but I settled for this one. That one is one that I really liked. And again, I went to Higgsfield and I applied the soft skin this time, but it changed the look of my Santa. It changed the face. So obviously this is not gonna work for me. So again, I went to Upsampler and applied some settings. And as you can clearly see here, it made it look so much more believable. So that's again my second image. Then again, back to ChatGPT asking for my next image, where I want Santa sitting at his Santa armchair with Christmas ornaments and trees behind, and he's holding an old book that he's gonna be reading from. And again, he gave me a prompt, and I copied this into Midjourney, and he began to give me different images. And from here on was a matter of repeating the same workflow. I would go to ChatGPT, ask for the prompt that I wanted. It's as simple as, for instance, a close-up of this image where you can clearly see his eyes, and I would go to Midjourney, paste it, and this is how I build my images. And I use a mix of Higgsfield Skin Enhancer and Upsampler for the skin enhancing, because some images Higgsfield will give me better results, and some of the times Upsampler will give me better results. You know, I am a little bit annoyed at the fact that Higgsfield seems to change the face a little bit, you know, so that's a bit of a bummer, whereas Upsampler does not change the face. That's a fact. You just have to like one effect better than the other. But essentially, I got my images. I had a wide shot of Santa reading a book. I had Santa by a bookshelf and Santa looking for a book. And these are my core 5 images. Now, the most important thing is to actually come up with a script. And this is where you need to write your story, whatever it is that you want Santa to say. And this is obviously relatable to the message that you want to send to your son or to loved one, based on whatever is going on in your year. I then took this to ElevenLabs. Okay, now in ElevenLabs you can find the voice of Santa, but I didn't quite like the voice, so I came to voices and I designed my own Santa voice. So you see, I had to do a number of generations. Any of these 3 would be a great voice for Santa. And eventually you save the one that you like. And I've got it here, Santa design voice. You come to text to speech. And as you can clearly see here, I have version 3. And I added enhancements to the voice so that the voice sounds excited or reflecting or surprised. And this is how you create the voice. Believe me, this is absolutely amazing. Now, one thing that you need to be aware of is that if you copy the entire script, so let's say all of this, and as you can clearly see here, there is a fair amount of text. So if you copy and paste all of this here and then you hit enhance, the voice is going to start in a certain way at the beginning, but then gradually it's going to change. You need to be aware of that. So if you want to have the voice always sounding exactly the same, I would recommend that you do chunks of 5 or 6 paragraphs. The advantage of copying and pasting the whole thing is that the voice is going to sound uniform through the entire reading. The downside of that is that there might be sections where it doesn't say something really the way you like it, and you're not going to be quite happy, and then redoing the entire script is going to eat up your credits down here. So my advice is just do chunks of 5 or 6 paragraphs and you're gonna be totally fine. Now you want to go into DaVinci Resolve, bring the audio in, and then add images so that the images overlap the audio, and gradually you build your sequence based on the different shots that you want for the different audio.
Some kids in this world, they are not so lucky.
So as you can clearly see, I've got the voice of Santa, but I've got still images. So that way, as you build your sequence, you kind of get a sense of the pace and the emotion. Otherwise, it's not gonna sound realistic. So I strongly recommend you do 11v3 and add these emotions like sad, sighs, or pondering, thoughtful, because believe me, that's gonna make a massive difference. And one other trick that I can tell you is that if you have Santa asking questions as part of his message, like, did you have a good year? Or would you say that you had a better year? Or things like that. Give the footage breathing space, because your son or your nephew, whoever it is that you're sending this message to, they will be answering as if they are talking to Santa. This is the one thing that surprised me. My son was mesmerized and he was reacting to the footage like Santa was talking to him. And from this moment on, once you know what you want to do, the next stage is to actually generate the videos. So I prefer to take a little bit of time now, but make it easy for me. So what I do is I literally select clip one, come into the export. I don't want the video because I'm gonna be using still image to animate and create a lip synced footage. So you're just gonna come to audio, export as wave. You call it video one, and then you add it to the render queue. And now you come onto the timeline, and then again, next clip, and then you call it video two. And then you add it to the queue, and then you build the entire timeline like that. I do not recommend that you do this process here in the export window, because you will be tempted to say, well, why do I need to go back and forth to the edit window and then back to the export window when I can just literally just do it here? I can do shot 3, shot 4, 5, 6, and so on. If you do it this way, DaVinci Resolve has a tendency to mess things up and skip files or give you the wrong audio. The safest is you go literally on your edit window, and then you say, okay, this is now video 3. It's not gonna take too much time. Then that's video 3. Then you come to the next one, video 4, and so on. And then you build your render queue, and literally when you finish, you just hit render all. And remember that you're not exporting video, okay? You're only exporting audio, because what you now want to do is you're gonna come here and says, okay, so this is video number 1. I have this image, okay? As you can clearly see, it's a still image with audio underneath, but I have exported this bit of audio. So you come to HeyGen, and then you go into photo to video. You upload the photo of your Santa. So let's say that the first clip is Santa's sitting on the sofa. So you literally come to a folder where you save these images. There you go, that's Santa. And then you upload the audio that you exported. Now in my case, as you can clearly see here, I've got it saved Santa 1, okay?
Hello, my little...
There you go. So you literally just add the audio. Now you can go into advanced and prompt gestures, and as you can see here, HeyGen gives you some presets, okay? So you could be warm and welcoming, and it gives you a sort of a pre-written template. My advice is, unless you specifically want that, don't do it. Literally just hit generate video at 1080p. That's it, nothing. This tool is insane. It's gonna create the video exactly as it should be. It's gonna have Santa looking up and looking down into the book or whatever it is that he has. This is amazing. I mean, I kid you not, look at that.
And I heard that there were a few times when you didn't make it easy for them.
And then this is how you literally do. You go one by one up until you have all your 20 files or however many files you have, and then you bring them into DaVinci Resolve. And you just replace the clips on top. Because, for instance, this is the first video. It's exactly the same length as the audio. So you just literally replace it, and now you have a talking Santa.
Hello, my little one. How are you?
And as you can clearly see, it looks absolutely amazing. Perfect lip sync.
I know you have had a very busy year. Lots of new friends, a new school.
And this is exactly what you do. You go clip by clip. The video is going to match the audio that you have underneath. And that's your video there. And obviously, I needed a lead up to Santa's living room. So I went back to ChatGPT and I literally gave instructions. Santa getting off his reindeer sled with his home in the distance. And I put that into Midjourney, and I've got a number of images. Obviously, you have, I mean, that kind of looks a bit scary, to be honest with you, but you literally have to go one by one until you find one that you like. Santa arriving to his North Pole home in a reindeer sled. Make it magical, it's for a kid. Pasted in Midjourney, and it gave me a number of images. And obviously this was not what I had in mind, but this is where you go and refine the prompting. And this one looked kind of okay. So I again took it to Upsampler and I changed from that to that, and that suddenly became realistic. And this is exactly what I did for the intro. I got 3 images that I really like. I didn't quite like this one, but I like this one. So those were the lead up to Santa sitting in his sofa. And all I had to do from then on was to come into Hicksville, go into Kling 2.6, and then animate this. And again, I didn't use any overly complicated prompting. Santa walking towards his sofa, he then sits on it, Christmas lights on in the tree and atmospherics. Simple as that. And I got the footage that I wanted. That was very good. And again, all I needed 3 seconds, 2-3 seconds. So I exported these videos and I brought them into DaVinci Resolve, and the intro looks absolutely amazing. And I had to come up with the sound effects, which it was very simple. I just went to audio and I just downloaded some effects. I just basically added them here. As you can clearly see here, I've got some steps. And then obviously we had to do music. And as you can clearly see, it was nothing spectacular. It was a track that was 1 minute 19, but I needed something that was melodical, but not too distracted, but sounded Christmassy. And in DaVinci Resolve, I came into the inspector window and I used the AI music editor live stream, and I dragged the whole thing, as you can clearly see, and it did the track for the entire 5 minutes. And this is how the whole thing was put together. And as you can see, the final timeline, I removed the images, I graded a little bit so all the shots look the same. I had an audience of 1, a very demanding audience, because it had to look realistic, it had to sound realistic, and the expression in his face was magical. I leave you with a clip of the video so you can see for yourself how amazing results you can achieve with this.
This year has been a very big year in your life, hasn't it? It has been a bit difficult at times, am I right? But your mum and dad have always been there next to you. You are very lucky that you have your mum and dad always next to you, every day. Some kids in this world, they are not so lucky, and their mums and dads work long hours, and they hardly ever get to see them, or maybe they are not there for them. So always be grateful for your parents. They are the best mum and dad in the world. Don't forget to give them a big hug and a big kiss. But let's see what we find inside this book, shall we? I see that you like cars, trains, and buses very much. I think it's wonderful that you are beginning to enjoy drawing and painting. I see that you are getting really good at writing, reading, and math. This is so wonderful, because education is going to open many doors and opportunities when you grow up.
And I hope you enjoyed this video. By all means, check the prompts that I leave in the video description, and I will see you in the next video.